We've got breaking news out of the NBA where the Clippers, Jazz, and Heat have agreed to a big-time three-team trade. ESPN reporting that Norman Powell will be heading to Miami. John Collins sent to L.A., and the deal also will see Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson, and a 2027 second-round pick head to Utah. Powell's coming off of the best scoring year of his career, averaged just under 22 points per game with the Clippers. Collins, meanwhile, had a good year, 19 points, 8 boards, but was limited to just 40 games due to a multitude of injuries. So that is the trade, and this is where we get going with the conversation, bringing in our NBA expert, Brad Botkin. And Brad, I first saw this trade, and I was like, oh, okay, this is something. What's your reaction?
Yeah, I love this trade for both sides. You know, Miami, throughout this offseason, it kind of seems like this is the way for Miami every offseason, where it feels like they're reaching a little bit. It feels like they're sort of on that treadmill of mediocrity and kind of won't give it up and just kind of go into a rebuild. And then they go and they get Norman Powell really for almost nothing. Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson. This is to get a guy who's going to average 20 points a game or did with the Clippers last year, I think over 21. We'll see what he does in the Heat program. But this is a guy who's a 42% three-point shooter. I thought he should have been an all-star last year. To get this kind of player at this stage of the game for the Heat, when the free agency market is basically all dried up, they've tried the Bradley Beal situation out. They fell out of those talks. They're in the market for Kevin Durant. It just seems like nothing's going to happen for them, and they're going to go into next season with Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo and a team that even in the Eastern Conference can't feasibly compete for anything meaningful. To add Norman Powell, again, an all-star level player, this is a fantastic get for the Miami Heat, and I like it for the Clippers side as well.
Yeah, I want to go back a little bit more to the Heat. Like, how do they pull this off? They send away 2 guys on the bench who would sometimes get DNPs and get back a star-level caliber player. How?
Because the Clippers don't want to commit to paying him next year. So Powell's on the books for, I think, $20 million this year, somewhere right around there. And he's a restricted free agent next year, unrestricted free agent. So they're getting out ahead of potentially having to give him a major salary boost with the way he played last year and presuming how he's going to play this year. So Miami will have a situation to deal with next summer, and we'll see how Powell works out. But for the time being, they get him at this price because the Clippers are adding front court depth. They like what they have in the backcourt enough, and they're willing to let Powell go to not have to deal with the salary ramifications potentially next year as a free agent.
Yeah, that graphic we're showing you here, Norman Powell, this is what it would have looked like for the Clippers books had they kept Powell. Now instead they bring in John Collins, a guy who's coming off averaging 19 and 8 this past season, shooting 39% from three-point land. So how is this for the Clippers? You get rid of a guard, you bring back a forward who still can play, and now leaves the exodus of the youth movement that seems to be continuing over in Utah.
Yeah, no question. I actually love the move for the Clippers just as much. They are really bolstering their front court depth. They go out and they get Brook Lopez, and then they bring in John Collins here, who everybody lost track of in Utah. You know, he kind of fell off the rails after Atlanta. He felt like almost a guy a couple of times was being talked about in buyout situations. He was just making way too much money for what he was producing. You look up, he's a 19 and 8 guy. He's almost back to a 40% three-point shooter. This is a guy that really helps the Clippers front court depth. They're adding a lot of versatility, a lot of lineup versatility. And again, with the Brook Lopez acquisition, I think the Clippers knew they had to clean their books up a little bit. They don't want to deal with Powell in the offseason. Very, very good player. I really think that for both sides, this is a very good trade. I would grade this probably an A for both sides.
I'm going to delve a little bit deeper into that grading bag in a second. But first, I want to touch on the Jazz since they are a part of this. Does this move mean anything for them? Will Kevin Love see this court, Kyle Anderson, the draft picks? What is the allure of this move for Utah?
Yeah, maybe. Again, I think they're just not kind of dealing with the Collins situation. They're putting a few picks in their holster here, and we'll see what Utah does. You know, I think the bigger questions with Utah is they've gotten rid of Sexton. Are they going to kind of try to keep this what they've been to get working toward with Markkanen? Are they going to fully tear this thing down? And they get Ace Bailey, and are they going to what kind of? They're sort of stuck a little bit. They have a lot of assets, a lot of firepower if they want to go out and actually make some meaningful moves. But at the moment, they're working around the margins. They seem to be stockpiling, and I don't think they've probably made a decision on Lauri Markkanen yet. I think they probably play that into the year, take it up to the trade deadline, and just kind of see where they stand. They clearly don't have a move in store right now that they want to dip both feet into the water in. So they continue to operate around the margins, and Danny Ainge is not going to do anything until he's ready to do it. So, I mean, you know, in terms of what this means for the Jazz right now, I think basically nothing. You kind of have to just wait and see what the Jazz are going to do over the next 6 months if they do anything by the trade deadline.
Hey, Brad, it's just the Walter Clayton Jr. and Ace Bailey show in Utah. That's what we can look forward to seeing.
Not bad.
And I'm not mad at that at all. Now I need you to put on that professor cap, and let's get you to grade the trade for both sides, we'll say here. I want you to look at the Clippers, what they get, and then also for the Heat.
Let's start with the Clippers. I give it an A. It does hurt to lose Norm Powell, but when your offense is going to revolve around James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, you're going to be okay from the scoring department. But they have really, really bolstered their front court depth. That was really obviously a priority for them coming into this offseason. To score Brook Lopez, I mean, you think about what Milwaukee gave up to go and bring in Miles Turner. Brook Lopez is, yes, at his age, a diminished version of Miles Turner, but you look at the difference in cost. To get Brook Lopez at where they got him and then add John Collins, again, a 20-7 guy, basically. You know, I mean, you're talking about a big-time producer who now goes to a situation where he doesn't have to be the second or even third best player. And that's big for John Collins. He was not able ever to graduate up the ranks in terms of a hierarchy on a team and really be a go-to player. That's where he fell into too deep a water for him. He was making that kind of money, but was never able to really be that. Now he finds himself in a position where he can be in a support staff position. And you almost look at it like an Aaron Gordon in Denver, who was overtasked with being a number one or number two player in Orlando, but great athlete, great versatility, and you put him in a situation where he can be sort of that top-end support staff player, and he thrives. And I think John Collins is in a situation where he could potentially sort of mirror what Aaron Gordon has done. I don't think he's as good as Gordon, but in terms of the fit, I think that that's something that he can find with the Clippers, to not have to be the go-to guy, the front court depth. So I give it an A for the Clippers, no question.
And then for the Heat, what grade would you give them? I need a letter from you.
Yeah, I think it's an A too. I mean, look, they didn't have to give up much. They're going to have to worry about Norman Powell next year, but they can worry about that next year, how much they want to pay him then. To get this is an obvious A to me, unless I'm missing something. You're getting a 22-point scorer, a 42% three-point shooter, an all-star level player for basically nothing. I mean, you're not worried about Kevin Love or Kyle Anderson. Now you can go into next year. I don't think this makes them a contender, but in the Eastern Conference, pretty much anyone can believe anything they want to tell them.